The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have just revealed the name of their newborn son to the world for the first time. And here it is on Instagram. Archie Harrison Mountbatten-Windsor. This is the first photo of the great-grandparents and the grandparent, Meghan Markle's mother, the Duchess's mother, all together, surrounded by their new baby boy, or they're surrounding their new baby boy. This is just coming out from the palace. I want to bring in Richard Berthelsen now to discuss this name. Richard, Archie Harrison Mountbatten-Windsor, break it down for us. What's the historical significance of these names?
Well, I'd say there's no historical significance to the first two names, and no one saw this one coming. We were just looking at the bookies this morning, and there was a lot of speculation around Spencer, Alexander, Charles, Philip, all these kinds of names. So they've clearly chosen to grow the root of a personal selection. There's something about the name Archie and this middle name Harrison that appeals to the Duke and Duchess, and they have the flexibility with this child because it's in seventh in line of succession, only going to go down further as time goes on over the years ahead. And you know what? Also interesting, they've made it clear that the child will be known as Archie Harrison and using the double-barreled last name Mountbatten-Windsor. So that was the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh's wish many, many years ago that those children those of their offspring that were not entitled to have a royal title would use the name Mountbatten-Windsor as a tribute to both the Duke of Edinburgh and the Queen, of course, who's from the House of Windsor. And, of course, as anyone who's watched The Crown and more specifically knows the history of the period, the Duke was concerned that his name was going to get lost to history entirely. And the Queen made that clear in the 1960s that this would be the case. And it's finally coming into play now. So they're not using the courtesy title of Earl and Dumbarton, although the child actually has that title. But Archie Harrison, we've just got to say, these are personal selections of interest or of some kind of appeal, or maybe when this child has actually appeared in their arms, the name Archie sprang into their head. Are you surprised? A little bit, yes. And it's not even Archibald. I know. It's an informal kind of form of that more formalistic name. Mm-hmm. So it suggests a casual kind of more informal approach to the naming, more personal. But we've seen this to some extent with Princess Anne's grandchildren, who are also the Queen's great-grandchildren. You have Mia, you have Lena, you have Savannah, you have Isla. Those four girls are named. So they were given a lot more flexibility at that kind of part of the family. So I think it's in context with that. Big surprise, no one's making money off this from the bookies today, I can tell you that. So earlier today, again, they're still at Windsor. In Windsor, they came out with the baby, and maybe we've got those pictures that we can roll, please, while I'm talking to you about this. We saw them come out, and you made this prediction that we may not hear the name until after they met with the Queen. So clearly they'd already chosen it. Then they went and met with Great-Granny, and now they've announced it. Yeah, it's Great-Granny and Great-Grandfather, too. Right. So absolutely, they would have told Her Majesty, they would have felt as a courtesy, as the head of the family, the Duke and the Queen, that they should let them know. And, you know, what is extraordinary, we have not seen ever with the other great-grandchildren, a picture with the Queen and the Duke at this point in time. It's usually come at the christening or some other point. So this is really extraordinary. And what is also breaking precedent in this case is Doria Ragland, the Duchess's mother, who's been over from California through this last couple of weeks. She's also in the photograph, too. So this is a very strong statement from the palace. If you need a reminder that this is a biracial birth, in a biracial marriage, American child, if you need a reminder of that, this photograph really says it all. They don't have to say anything about it. There it is. And so this is a real mark of, a personal discretion on behalf of the Queen, and of course, she would have had to agree to this photo being published. And she looks absolutely delighted, and this is her 8th great-grandchild. Yes, well, as she exclaimed to former Prime Minister Chrétien the other day, when he said, how many? 8, she quickly, announced. I mean, she's very, very clear about her and I think she's taken great joy from her great-grandchildren, as she has from her grandchildren. And, I think the Queen and the Duke are delighted that many of their great-grandchildren will probably not go on to being in the royal business. The Princess Anne's 4, certainly, Prince Edward's 2, and now this child coming along, starting a whole new branch of the family with a very distinctive name that doesn't appear, to my knowledge, anywhere else in the family tree. I'm sure we'll see historians kind of going through trying to find something, but I really don't think there's any stock in that. I think it's a personal
You know what,
choice.
Richard? I believe you because you are a living encyclopedia. I believe you.
Okay.
There you have it, folks. Archie Harrison Mountbatten-Windsor and a photo on Instagram. Richard Berthelsen, thank you so much. We'll
Pleasure
take a
to be
short
here.
break.